Hi, Ed. It's great to have you on.
Hi,
So
Ananya. Nice to meet you. Thank you for having me.
I'm honored. That's a privilege. So, as a guest today, we have Ed Salazar, an experienced artist and an art instructor. He teaches arts for all levels and is the founder and registrar of the New World School of Art, which is an international online art school. And it's lovely having you on, Ed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ananya.
Yeah. So, I have a couple of questions for you.
Sure.
So, what, in your opinion, really, like, I believe everybody has their own definition of successful. So, what is your definition of a successful art piece?
Well, for me, it's if I can put down on a canvas or even digitally what I want to express. So everybody may have an emotion, may want to narrate a certain scene if you're an illustrator, or maybe just capture something in nature that you find beautiful. And if you are able to communicate that pictorially, to me, that's successful because art is a language. And if just like when you're communicating verbally, you can communicate correctly, well, that's what you're trying to accomplish. It could be something beautiful, it could be something dramatic, it could be narrative. But if you're able to do that in a successful, convincing way, to me, that's a successful work of art.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So, if you say so, you must have also experienced some failed artworks, I believe. And how do you feel about that?
The question is again, excuse me.
You might have a failed artwork, like you might not be satisfied by some art piece you created, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, what was the reaction to that?
To my artwork?
So a failed art piece you might have created and you were not satisfied with that, not successful as per your language.
I see. In other words, if I created something that was not successful, how do I react to that?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there's a saying in America, you can't hit a home run all the time. So even if you have a good batting average, so not every painting will be a masterpiece, but you can learn from failures. You can always analyze a picture and say, well, what did I do wrong? However, if you are experienced, the more you gain experience and the more you know about how to make a picture accurate and correct, then you can usually pull yourself out of trouble. And then your chances of getting a successful picture is higher. For example, you can break it down into components. You can say, well, if this is not successful, what is wrong with it? The drawing is not right. Okay, what's wrong with the drawing? Okay, the proportions are off. Well, why are the proportions off? And if you start measuring and you can find things that are off, it could also be the value relationships are not working. So if you analyze that, you can correct things. So usually once you learn the fundamentals, you can pull yourself out of trouble. But it doesn't mean every painting is incredibly good. But if you want to communicate certain things with art, it all starts with good planning. If you plan the concept right, if you do little sketches right, if you get good reference material, and you understand how to mix colors, then you usually will be on target. So then to me, it becomes a matter, if I'm going to sit down in this process to go through all of this, it has to be something worthwhile. So what do I want to say? What do I want to paint? And so you just do it. But sometimes it just comes out better than other times. Maybe it was a better idea this time than that time. Or maybe you had better reference material this time than last time. Since I do portraits, sometimes I have to follow what the client wants. And they maybe want a certain picture of their child. And this is the photograph they want me to paint from. But maybe the photograph is not that good. Maybe the pose is not a good pose. Maybe the lighting is not that good. Maybe the next client has a very beautiful child and in the right pose with the right lighting. So then that becomes a much better painting. You see, because I have better elements to work from. So there's a lot of factors involved.
I agree with that 100%. So like you mentioned, do you look up other art for inspiration while making something other than portraits?
Yes, I do look at other art for inspiration, because I feel that you need to be inspired or enthusiastic. And when I see other very good works of art, such as what we see in museums, I got some of my favorite artists in mind, and when I see their work, or maybe some other artists I never even knew of, but I love the piece, I might pull that up on the computer and look at it to get ideas of how I want to plan this next picture, you know? So maybe there is something in the way of the painting approach, the textures are very beautiful, or the color combinations, or the way there's brushstrokes that are really nice. That might be something that's going to motivate me. So, and to me, there are, you got to have standards.
Right.
And I think it's good to know art history, because when you know art history, there are certain painters that were very talented. And I think it's important to determine, why does that, touch your emotions? What is it about it that is good? And then once you start isolating certain things you like, then you can be looking for artwork like that is going to inspire you to reach those levels. So yeah, I think that there's, and oftentimes, especially when I was an illustrator, there was a time when I used to illustrate a lot of Bible scenes. I would actually look at other paintings, even if it's not the same subject matter, but the same level of drama, for example. And I like the way the darks are here and there. And I would like to put those pictures nearby so that when I am painting it, it kind of has that type of feel to it.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
That's
And
lovely.
now you asked something about portraits also?
Yeah, so you into portraits, right? And in oil paintings, I'm aware. So what made you realize that that was your calling?
Oh yeah. Well, I think that as a child, when I was a child, I used to like drawing people. And I remember that when I was about maybe 7 years old, I have an older brother, 2 years older, and he showed me how to do a face, and I liked it. And then ever since, I started to draw faces, expressions, and if I would try to, if I would like to try to capture the likeness. And then I started to take some classes by a very, very good painter, and he showed how to separate, the proportions of a head. And for example, a lot of us don't realize that the eyes are usually right in the center of the head. A lot of us think that they're higher, but no, they're pretty much the center. So from the top of the head here, and then if you have hair, from here to here is 1/3, from here to here is another third, from here to here is another third. And then if you can take from here to here, you can divide it in thirds one more time. Here, here, and then here. So those are helpful guidelines. And when you do an eye, there's usually about an eye distance between this eye and that eye. So that kind of helps you. And if you line up the eyes down here, it kind of ends around here. The wing of the nostrils kind of line up close to here. So those are helpful things. I've always found that fascinating. And another thing, I think people all have a level of charm and beauty. And it's nice if you can capture that. We're all so unique. So in my opinion, God's creation is beautiful, but it's the ultimate creation of God is a human made in his image. Doesn't mean we look like God, because we can't see God. He's a spirit. But if you read the Bible, if you believe in the Bible, it's interesting that there was creative days in the book of Genesis. The first day he said it was good. Second day, it was good. Third, good. Fourth, good. Fifth, it was good. And on the sixth day, creative day, it was very good. And that's when he created humans. So it's very interesting. So if you can capture a human and capture a little bit of his personality and the beauty of a human being, it's just wonderful. It's a nice feeling. And a few things to keep in mind if you're a portrait artist are not just to capture a likeness, but make it artistic. Try to show the person at their best. For example, many of us, when we have a picture taken of us, you look at it and you say, I don't like the way it came out. So you delete it, right? So you want to capture the person at their best in a portrait. So for that, you have to look at the expression, the right angle, and maybe the lighting should be set up in such a way so that it looks better in that person, to maybe show their structure a little bit. An example, if you have a very chiseled, thin face, maybe you don't want hard light, strong light, because it'll emphasize shadows too much. Maybe you soften the light. If you have a little bit of a round face and you don't want it to look that round, maybe you use a little strong light to show a little more structure. So you got to kind of play around with it. Look at the different positions. Oh, that's your best angles. So stop right there. And then capture the right expression. And if possible, what is it about this person that you want to remember? So maybe he is a businessman. So we show him in his office, showing the elements that show what he does. He's an engineer, he's a doctor. But if you just, somebody like, the wife at home, maybe just something to show her and her personality and her setting. So it's a lot to it, but it's a very enjoyable assignment to be able to capture that in an elegant, beautiful way. Because, they say that portraits can be immortal. They last for a long time. A photograph can fade in about 10 years. A portrait, like a Rembrandt, can last 500 years and it still looks great. So if you're gonna, dedicate time to really capture a nice portrait, you got to plan it well. But I do enjoy it very much.
And that's great. I mean, personally, I've never been a fan of portraits myself because I'm not very good at them. So, I mean, this was a piece of actually really great information for me.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad I could share that.
Yeah. So lastly, I wanted to know, how did you get where you currently are and how do you feel about it?
Yeah. Well, it just kind of has happened unexpectedly, gradually. I just was a child that liked art. I've always liked looking through books that show pictures and stories. And then later on, I volunteered to be a worker at the world headquarters of Jehovah's Witnesses in New York. Eventually, I was put on the art department. And there I learned illustration, and so I did that for a number of years. And then when I left my volunteer work, I already knew how to paint, even very elaborate paintings. So I started to do portraiture because I really loved the work of some painters like Rembrandt. This is a Rembrandt copy. John Singer Sargent, another fantastic painter who focused on portraits. So I decided I want to focus more on portraits now. So then, thank God that commissions started to come my way. I opened up a website and people called me. And I would always try to, and even to this day, I find that it's good to try to educate yourself. So I would find who's the best. I kind of figured out in my mind who's the best artist that I like in history. But what about artists in modern times? So there are seminars that are done occasionally where some of these excellent artists are teaching for a week. And I would take several workshops, through the years. So I always trying to, improve my abilities and raise my game, as they say. So as you improve, people notice you, and then you're able to do what you do. So right now, I was very fortunate that right before the pandemic hit, I decided I wanted to teach art. So I decided I'll try Skype, and eventually I learned about Zoom, and I put advertisements out that I give classes, and my classes filled up. So to the point I couldn't keep up with the number of students on the waiting list. So then I decided to, I noticed that some of my own students were doing very good in drawing, because in my opinion, the way I teach art is based on a very logical structure. Drawing is first. Once you learn how to draw well, then you focus on painting. And you don't jump right away into color. You want to understand value relationships. So this, for example, is called a monochrome painting. So you're just using one color, you can get the full range of light to dark values. So if you really can draw, you can put the color in the right place, and then you can just shade it properly. So that's called monochrome. And then from there, you can do some color exercises, understand how to mix color, how to get different like shapes and light effects. And then eventually you can get into color. So anyways, what I decided to do is I'm going to have my own best students become drawing instructors, so I can get the people on the waiting list to start getting drawing classes. And then a lot of people start to take the class. And now I teach drawing and painting, while a lot of the ones coming in are still being trained with drawing. And then eventually they will come to me for painting, and another helper that I have for painting. And we also decided to open up some digital classes for those who like the digital arts, but the same principles. So like I said, it happened very gradually, because I never planned this, but it's going very well. And I'm enjoying my painting commissions. I just finished a workshop online, believe it or not, online. And we all did this painting of a Rembrandt. I gave them a photograph, a very good photograph of this, the original painting. And then step by step, I helped them to draw it right. Once it was at the right level of drawing, then I encouraged them to do a monochrome, which is just the brown tones laid out. And then I showed them what colors to mix, how to do it. And every class, which was 2 hours every week for 9 weeks, we would meet. Of course, they can work at home all they want, but we would meet every week. And then I would critique everybody's work online, right on Zoom, and then tell them where to work on, where to keep working on this, where to adjust this. And it's nice because with the share screen feature on Zoom, I could actually show on my screen digitally. I asked them to take a picture of what they have. They send it to me on an email. I pull it up here and I show them what needs to be improved. And it's a really good, clear way of communicating. So anyways, the classes are going great. And I'm just very, very thankful that I can do something that I enjoy and make a living at it. So that's the ultimate, I think, when you can almost feel that you're not even working and you're just enjoying yourself. So that's about all I have to say. And if you all are interested, go to newworldschoolofart.com, and you can see there's a number of classes, including music, languages, and many other things that you can learn from professionals right from your own home.
That's great. And I mean, I would sure try that. And yeah, so it was lovely having you over, and I'm sure you're going to be successful. So lots of success your way.
Thank you. And I appreciate meeting young people as yourself who are interested in the arts. I think that the arts, if I can say one last thing, I think that the arts are very good for the soul. It's therapeutic. In other words, if you're feeling, tense and uptight and you need to relax, you do something that you enjoy. It just makes you feel relaxed, and you put a little music in the background. Of course, it's frustrating if you don't know what you're doing, but if you're trained how to do it and you just go ahead and do it and see results, it's talking back to you, this painting. You're happy that what you're trying to say, it's coming out. It's a very enjoyable feeling.
That's great. And I agree 100% with you on that. So, yeah, it was lovely having you. And thank you for joining me once again.
Thank you so much. I appreciate Ananya to have somebody from all the way from India to connect with me on LinkedIn, and hopefully we'll talk again sometime. Okay, wish you the
Absolutely.
best.
Thank
Okay,
you so much.
bye-bye.
Yeah.